Hi, I'm Nate Moore. This is Excel video 196 in MooreSolutionsInc.com's series on how to use Excel in a medical practice. What I have today is year-to-date collections by provider. So I have all my providers, I don't know, I have 15 or 20 of them, and I have the total amount of collections, and I want to know how my providers are doing. Who's at the top, who's at the bottom, how do they rank compared to each other. Now I could always take the data and say sort these two columns and sort this ascending or descending and get my highest numbers at the top or the lowest numbers at the top or whatever. But if I want to leave these numbers sorted the way they are alphabetically or by seniority, or if I have several years worth of collections data and I want to know how did Dr. Garcia do in year 2 versus year 3 versus year 4 kind of thing. Was she at the top? Was she at the bottom? How did she rank in relation to her peers across time? There's a clever Excel function we're going to talk about today called rank. And what rank will do is pretty straightforward. You just give it the number you're going to rank, so B5, and then the range you're going to rank it against, which is from B5 to B24, all the different collections numbers for all my physicians. And then what order does, if you leave it blank, it goes from the biggest to the smallest. If you want to go the other way around, you can just put anything besides 0 in there, and it'll sort ascending instead of descending. So what this is going to do is it's going to, okay, B5, that 856,997, amongst all these numbers is the 7th in the list. And Dr. Anderson is 8, Dr. Garcia is 18, and it's pretty straightforward to see. There are two different flavors, if you will, of the rank function. This rank.EQ and rank.AVG. And as long as these numbers are all different, these values along here will all be the same. Watch what happens if I make Dr. Allen and Dr. Anderson have the same amount of collections. What rank.EQ will do when there's a tie, when these two are the same, rank.EQ will give this the higher of the two. Remember, I got to do this one more time. Remember, Allen was 7 and Anderson was 8. Now if I redo, now they're both 7. So what rank.EQ does is it takes the highest rank and assigns everybody with a tie to the highest rank, even though so I'm going to have a 7 here, and then if you scroll down, I'm not going to have an 8, but I will have a 9, and I will have a 6. Does that make sense? When there's a tie, it takes the highest of the rank that these would be, these would qualify for, say it that way, that they'd qualify for, and assigns the higher value. What rank.AVG does, it says, all right, when there's a tie, we're going to take the average between ranking 7th and 8th, and I'm going to make you 7.5. So if I make this and Dr. Clark the same, now these guys are 7, 8, 9, but rank.EQ is going to make them all 7, where rank.AVG is going to take the average between 7, 8, 9 and make them all 8. If you made this guy the same, these guys are still 7, but now this is the average between 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, and that's 8.5. You see how rank.EQ gives you the highest rank. Rank.AVG will give you the average if there are ties. And again, if there are no ties, these guys are all the same. Rank.EQ and rank.AVG will give you exactly the same ranking in relation to everybody on your physician list. The only time these two differ is when there's a tie, and rank.EQ assigns the highest rank to everybody that ties, whereas rank.AVG takes the average of all the ranks and assigns that to everybody that ties. Either way, these folks get the same rank. All 4 of these docs in this example are all getting the same ranking either way. It's just how you approach that ranking. And I just put a little note here to hopefully make that a little easier. That's rank in Excel. That is what I'm going to show you about all of these functions. We've gone through a ton of functions, and that's what I want to show you about functions. We did this name manager section when we did offset, and we're naming ranges and making charts update automatically, starting in Excel video 85 if you need to go back and look at name manager. Stay tuned next time. We're going to start this formula auditing and calculation area and finish out the formulas tab with a couple of videos on how these functions work. Look forward to seeing you then.